The Galactic Council chamber was a place of shining lights and proud banners. It was the center of power for all races across the stars. The chamber was filled with voices of different species, tall figures with glowing eyes, small ones with sharp claws, and leaders wrapped in strange robes. They all sat in their seats, pretending to protect peace, pretending to be guardians of fairness. At the far end of the chamber, the human delegation entered. They walked with calm steps, their uniforms neat, their eyes firm. They trusted this place once. They believed the council was built to protect every race, but today something felt wrong. Today the air was heavy with secrets. The council leader, an alien with silver scales, stood tall and raised his hand. His voice echoed in the hall. Humans have broken the laws of peace, he declared. They have built weapons in secret. They have spread fear among the stars. They must be punished. A wave of whispers filled the chamber. Eyes turned toward the humans, sharp, judging, cruel. The humans tried to speak. Their leader, Ambassador Riley, stepped forward, his voice steady. This is false. Humanity has obeyed the laws. Humanity has honored the treaties. We demand proof. But the council gave no proof. Instead, they raised a new treaty, one signed in secret, one that gave control of human colonies to other alien races, one that stripped Earth of its freedom, one that betrayed every promise ever made. The human delegates felt a fire in their hearts. Betrayal burned deeper than any wound. The council they trusted had sold them like cattle. Ambassador Riley clenched his fists. His voice rose. You swore to protect balance. You swore to protect peace, and now you betray us. The silver-scaled leader only smiled. His cold eyes gleamed. Peace requires sacrifice, and humanity is that sacrifice. Gasps echoed across the chamber. So, alien leaders looked away in shame. Others grinned with silent pleasure. At that moment, humanity understood the truth. They were alone. The council was never their ally. The council was afraid of them, afraid of their growth, afraid of their spirit, and so they betrayed them. The news spread like wildfire across Earth and every human colony. Screens lit up with messages. Voices shouted in disbelief. Mothers held their children close. Soldiers gritted their teeth. Workers threw down their tools. Everyone felt the same mix of anger and fear. Why, people asked. Why us? Why betray us? And yet deep inside the answer was clear. Humanity had always been strong, always been rising, and the others feared what they could become. That night, in the dark skies above Earth, ships moved silently, hidden in shadow. Human fleets returned from distant patrols, their captains receiving the order. Stand ready on Mars in the red dust. Miners looked to the sky and whispered, we will not bow. On Luna, children heard their parents speak of war for the first time. Across the stars, humanity prepared, betrayed but not broken. In the council chamber, as the humans left, one commander among them whispered to his soldiers, one command will change everything. His words were quiet, but they carried the weight of thunder. The aliens thought betrayal would weaken humanity, but betrayal had done the opposite. It had lit a fire no water could put out. For now, the galaxy thought humanity would kneel. But soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn the truth. The first sparks of a deadly war had been born, not by choice, not by greed, but by betrayal. And from betrayal, humanity would rise stronger than ever. The betrayal of the Galactic Council was not just an announcement, it was a storm. It spread through every channel, every colony, every world where humans lived, across the void of space. The message repeated again and again. Humanity is guilty. Humanity must be controlled. Humanity is sacrificed for peace. On Earth, in the crowded cities, people gathered around screens, their faces pale, their voices filled with anger. They had trusted the Council for decades. They had believed in unity. Now they were betrayed. Soldiers in orbiting stations clenched their jaws. Some slammed their fists against steel walls. Others stared into the stars with burning eyes. They knew what betrayal meant. They knew war was coming. But the Council did not stop at words. Alien fleets began to move. Giant warships shaped like wings of fire, cruisers with glowing crystal weapons, swarms of drones like locusts spreading across human borders. They were not waiting. They were preparing to take everything. On Mars, Governor Helena stood before her people, her voice shaking but strong. We are betrayed, but we will not surrender. We will fight. We will endure. The crowd roared, their fists raised, their hearts beating as one. On Titan, in the icy mines, workers whispered to one another, The Council thinks we are weak. They will learn. They will regret this. In hidden places, humanity's secret plans began to unfold. Commanders met in shadowed rooms. Maps of stars lit up with red marks, supply routes, ambush points, fleets ready to rise. But still, there was fear. Powerful alien empires stood against them. Species older, richer, stronger, with armies that stretched across galaxies, and humanity was alone. The suspense grew heavier with each passing day. Alien fleets moved closer, their weapons charged, their commanders certain of victory. But in the silence of the void, humans were not idle. The mysterious commander who had whispered in the council chamber now called a secret meeting. Leaders from Earth, Mars, Luna, and the colonies gathered. The room was tense. Voices argued. Some demanded surrender, some begged for mercy. But the commander stood tall, his eyes cold and bright. They betray us because they fear us, he said, his voice sharp as steel. They think humanity will kneel, but they are wrong. One command, only one command, and we will show them who we are. The room went silent. Every leader felt the weight of his words. Some trembled, some smiled. For the first time since the betrayal, hope flickered. In the dark of space, hidden fleets stirred, colossal ships that the Council never knew existed, their hulls black as shadow, their weapons silent but deadly. Engineers worked without rest, pilots trained with burning fury, ordinary men and women prepared to defend their homes. Humanity was not only betrayed, it was awakening. Then came the first clash. At the edge of human space, a Council fleet of glowing crystal warships entered orbit of a small colony. They expected surrender. They expected fear. Instead, the humans fought back. A handful of warships against a mighty fleet, the battle lit the stars with fire. Though the humans were outnumbered, they refused to fall. Every explosion shook the galaxy. Every defiance sent a message. Across the stars, other races watched, some in silence, some in awe. Could it be that humanity, small and betrayed, would dare to rise against the Council? The Council called it rebellion, they called it treason, but to humanity, it was survival, it was honor, it was destiny. And as the fires of the first battle burned, the mysterious commander prepared his fleet. His hand hovered above the command that would change everything, for soon, one word, one order, one command would transform betrayal into war, and war into legend. The first battle was only the beginning. The flames of defiance spread through human space. News of the clash reached every world, every colony, every heart. Humanity had not surrendered. Humanity had chosen to fight. But the Galactic Council was not finished. They called humanity rebels, criminals, enemies of peace. They promised the galaxy a swift victory. They promised to crush Earth and all its colonies in one strike. Alien fleets began to gather, vast armadas of shining metal and living ships, weapons that had destroyed empires before, engines that could cross star systems in hours. The Council wanted fear. They wanted humanity to break before the real war began. Yet fear did not break humanity. Fear became fire. In the deserts of Mars, soldiers trained day and night, their voices echoing across the red sands. On Europa, young pilots learned to fly in icy skies, their ships like silver arrows. In the dark stations of the belt, engineers welded armor to secret warships, their sparks glowing like stars. The mysterious commander, known only as Admiral Kane, prepared his hidden fleet. He walked through the hangars of colossal black warships, each one a weapon the Council never knew existed, their hulls built with secret alloys, their engines designed in silence, their weapons sharp enough to cut through the strongest shields. But Kane knew numbers alone would not win. Humanity could not match the Council ship for ship. He whispered to his captains, "We will not fight with numbers. We will fight with mind, with speed, with unity. One command will turn their strength into weakness." Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Other species began to wonder, could humans truly resist? Could they survive what no one had survived before? Then came the storm. The Council launched a fleet of 300 warships toward the human colony of Vega Prime. Their arrival was like thunder. Skies burned as their engines lit the void. They sent a single message: surrender or be erased. The people of Vega Prime looked to the sky. Fear gripped their hearts, but instead of surrender, they sent back one reply: "We stand with Earth." In the shadows near Vega Prime, Admiral Kane's hidden fleet waited, black warships cloaked against the stars, their weapons silent, their crews steady. Kane stood on the coast. Bridge, his eyes cold, his voice calm. Hold, not yet, wait for the moment. The Council fleet entered orbit, confident, arrogant. Their commanders laughed at the idea of human resistance, but then, one signal flashed across Kane's fleet, one word spoken, one command given. Now! The black warships roared to life, their engines blazed, their cannons lit the void, the sky of Vega Prime exploded in fire. Council ships were caught off guard, their formation broken, their shields pierced, their leaders shouting in panic. The galaxy had never seen such a strike, not of numbers, not of size, but of perfect timing, perfect unity. One command had turned the tide. Vega Prime was saved, the Council fleet scattered, humanity had done the impossible. They had defeated a force that should have crushed them. Across the stars, billions watched in silence. The Council's promise of swift victory was broken, the myth of human weakness shattered, but Kane did not smile. He knew this was only the first storm. Greater fleets would come, deadlier weapons would follow. The real war had only begun. Still, in the hearts of every human, hope burned brighter. Betrayal had become fury, and fury had become strength. And now, the galaxy whispered a new truth. Humanity would not kneel, humanity would not vanish, humanity had risen. The storm had only begun, and it was gathering, darker, louder, deadlier. The victory at Vega Prime shook the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, a Council fleet had been defeated. For the first time, a so-called weaker race had stood tall against the giants of the stars. Whispers traveled faster than light. Merchants, smugglers, and travelers carried the story from system to system. The humans fought back. The humans struck like thunder. One command shattered the Council fleet. Some races cheered in secret, others trembled in fear. But the Council could not allow this story to live. They sent new fleets, larger and deadlier, their warships filled with weapons stolen from 100 worlds. They swore to erase humanity completely, to make an example so no race would ever rise against them again. Admiral Kane watched these movements carefully. His fleet hidden in the dark corridors of space. He studied every formation, every pattern, his mind sharp as a blade. His officers trusted him completely, for Kane saw what others missed. He saw weakness inside strength. He saw cracks inside walls. Meanwhile, humanity revealed secrets even older, deep beneath the surface of the moon. Hidden hangars opened, massive carriers rose into the black sky. Their hulls carved with symbols of Earth in the asteroid belt. Whole colonies became fortresses, cannons carved into rock, defense lines glowing with power. But the most secret of all was Project Horizon, a weapon built not for numbers but for precision, a fleet of stealth ships that could vanish in plain sight, their engines silent, their presence like shadows in the void. The Council mocked humans as rebels, but now they realized humans were builders, creators, visionaries. They had prepared in silence for years. They had never trusted the Council fully, and their hidden power was greater than anyone guessed. Then came the Council's second strike. 500 warships aimed at the Sol system itself, the jewel of humanity. The blue Earth hanging in space. The Council believed the humans would panic, surrender, beg for mercy. But Admiral Kane was ready. He had waited for this. He gave no speech, only a single order, his voice calm. All shadows, move. From the asteroid belt, Project Horizon activated. Stealth ships moved like ghosts, slipping past the enemy fleet, cutting supply lines, destroying fuel depots, crippling communications. The mighty armada of the Council suddenly found itself blind and bleeding. The suspense grew unbearable. Alien commanders screamed in confusion, their fleets scattered, their warships turned assassino against each other in the chaos. Kane's main fleet struck from the dark. The sky near Earth became fire, beams of energy, explosions that tore through space. But this time the Council did not laugh. This time they screamed. They were losing. For every 10 human ships destroyed, 30 alien ships burned. For every world the Council tried to crush, humans rebuilt stronger. Unity spread like wildfire. Soldiers, workers, even children whispered the same words. One command will save us. And the galaxy watched again. The lie of human weakness was dead. The myth of Council invincibility was breaking. Yet Kane knew this war was far from finished. The Council was vast, their resources endless, their cruelty without limits. Humanity had won battles, but the war ahead would be darker, bloodier, more merciless than anyone could imagine. Still, hope was alive, fire was alive, humanity was alive, and with every hidden weapon revealed, with every secret unleashed, the Council's fear grew, because humanity was no longer the betrayed, no longer the sacrificed. They were becoming the storm, and storms could not be controlled. The Council had been shaken again, their mighty fleets burned, their pride broken, yet they still believed numbers would crush humanity. They thought the humans were fighting only with desperation. They did not understand the depth of human strength. On Earth, the people stood united, cities lit with banners of resistance, voices sang in the streets, "We will not kneel, we will not break." On Mars, soldiers drilled with fire in their hearts, their eyes sharp as blades across the belt. Miners turned into warriors, their machines reforged into weapons. Humanity had become one, no longer scattered worlds, but one unshakable force. Admiral Kane knew the time had come. No longer could humanity wait in shadows. No longer could they strike only in defense. Now was the moment to turn betrayal into vengeance. He stood before his commanders, his voice quiet but filled with iron. The Council wanted fear. Let us give them fear. We will strike not at their fleets, but at their heart. The plan was bold, dangerous, almost impossible. Kane ordered fleets to split into three, one force to draw Council armies into traps, one to protect the colonies, and one, his own, to pierce into the core systems of the Council, a place no human ship had ever entered. The suspense grew as humanity's fleets moved. Whispers of their plan reached alien ears. Other species gasped. Are the humans mad to enter the home of the Council itself? But fear turned to awe, for none had ever dared. The Council prepared a trap of their own, an ambush near the Nebra Gate, a choke point of burning suns and shattered asteroids. 500 ships lay in wait, commanders certain they would end Kane there. But Kane had studied them. He had seen through their pride. When his fleet arrived, he gave no long speech, only a single command: engage the storm. And the storm came. Stealth ships ignited chaos behind enemy lines. Fighters dove like arrows through burning asteroids. Human warships moved with unity. Every strike precise, every maneuver exact. The battlefield turned red with fire. The Council ships struggled to hold formation. Their commanders shouted, their fleets broke apart. Kane's trap was deeper than theirs. He had used their own arrogance against them. For the first time, the Council lost not only ships, but morale. Alien captains fled. Whole divisions surrendered rather than face humanity's fury. And then came the moment that shook the galaxy. Kane's fleet broke through the Nebra Gate, piercing into Council territory itself. No race had ever dared, no race had ever succeeded, but humans did. On the Council's homeworld, fear spread like a poison. Leaders who once mocked humanity now whispered in terror, if they can reach our gates, where will they strike next? The galaxy held its breath, the Mitris. Of Council power was dying. A new legend was rising. Humanity, once betrayed, was no longer just defending. They were advancing. They were pushing into the very heart of their enemy. And Admiral Kane, calm on his bridge, looked into the stars and whispered, "This is only the beginning." The breach of the Nebra Gate had changed everything. The galaxy trembled as humanity pierced into the heart of Council space. Never before had rebels reached so far. Never before had the Council looked so fragile. But the Council was not yet broken. They gathered their greatest armada, a force so vast it darkened entire star systems. 1,000 ships of every shape and design. Living war beasts from the jungle worlds, crystal cruisers from the shining empires, dreadnoughts that had crushed nations before humanity was born. The Council swore this war would end in blood. They would drown humanity in fire, erase their worlds, and silence their defiance forever. Admiral Kane studied their movements, his eyes sharp, his mind like a storm. He knew this would be no ordinary battle. This would be the test of humanity's soul. If they failed here, Earth would burn, the colonies would fall, the dream would die. The suspense grew heavier as both sides prepared. Across the human fleet, soldiers wrote messages to families, pilots kissed photos of loved ones, engineers tightened bolts with trembling hands. They all knew they might not return, but none wavered. The first clash came at the Draxan Rift, a battlefield of broken moons and shattered stars. The Council armada thundered forward, their weapons a wall of fire. Kane gave the signal, "Hold formation, strike as one." The void exploded. Human ships danced through fire, striking weak points, weaving in and out of burning debris. Stealth ships crippled supply lines. Carriers unleashed swarms of fighters. Every move was precise, every order timed, yet the cost was heavy. Ships burned, lives lost, heroes fell. Entire squadrons vanished into fire. Humanity bled, but still they fought, still they held the line. The council commanders laughed at first, mocking the smaller fleet, but laughter turned to rage, then to fear. For every trap they laid, Kane broke it. Every advance they made, Kane turned aside. And then Kane gave the command that changed the battle. Collapse the rift. Explosives hidden in the broken moons detonated. Fragments of rock and metal tore through the void. Council ships collided. Whole divisions destroyed in the chaos. Humanity turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. The galaxy gasped. The impossible had happened again. The mighty armada of the Council was crippled, forced to retreat. But victory came at a terrible cost. Human fleets were battered. Colonies left undefended. Supply lines stretched thin. Kane stood on his bridge, his heart heavy, his voice calm. "We have won the battle, but the war is far from over." The Council, wounded and humiliated, prepared their final response. They would no longer fight with fleets alone. They would unleash weapons forbidden for centuries, weapons that could tear planets apart. The galaxy stood on the edge of fire. Humanity had struck harder than anyone dreamed, but the storm was only growing, and deep inside, Kane knew the final reckoning was near. One last battle, one last command would decide the fate of the stars. The galaxy held its breath. The Council, wounded but not defeated, gathered its last weapon, a weapon so forbidden that even their allies trembled. A planet killer, a machine forged in ancient wars, capable of tearing worlds apart with one strike. They aimed it at Earth, the cradle of humanity, the blue world shining among the stars. The Council believed that destroying Earth would break human spirit forever, but Admiral Kane knew. He had seen the whispers of this weapon. He had prepared for his very moment. He gathered what remained of his battered fleets, their hulls scarred, their crews weary, but their spirits unbroken. In the void above Earth, silence stretched. Children looked to the sky. Soldiers gripped their weapons. Every heartbeat as one. They knew the Council was coming with fire beyond imagination. The suspense grew unbearable as the planet killer arrived, escorted by fleets of dreadnoughts, its vast frame glowing like a dying star. The Council commander announced, "This is the end of humanity. Bow or be erased." But Kane did not bow. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, his face calm, his voice steady. "Today, the galaxy learns who we are." The battle began. The void erupted in fire. Human fleets clashed with the Council's guardians. Explosions tore across the black sky. Fighters dove. Stealth ships struck from shadows. Every human gave everything. Still, the planet killer charged, its core glowing brighter, preparing to fire upon Earth. Entire cities prayed. Entire colonies cried. The end seemed near. Then Kane gave his final command, the command he had held back until this very moment. "All units, storm protocol." In an instant, hidden codes activated. Secret weapons humanity had saved for this reckoning came alive. Warships that had been silent revealed their true power. Experimental cannons roared. Whole formations moved like one unstoppable wave. The storm fell upon the planet killer, wave after wave of strikes. Stealth ships piercing its defenses, carriers unleashing their last reserves, dreadnoughts ramming into its frame. Humans fought with fury beyond fear. The Council commanders screamed in disbelief, their ultimate weapon breaking, its frame tearing apart under the storm of humanity's will. Its core cracked, then exploded. A blast brighter than a sun. The shockwave echoed across the galaxy. The weapon of fear was destroyed. The Council's fleet scattered, their power shattered. Admiral Kane stood on his bridge, silence around him, his eyes steady. "It is done," he whispered. And the galaxy understood. Humanity, once betrayed, had risen. One command had saved them. One command had changed everything. The Council fell silent, no longer feared, no longer obeyed. Other races looked to humanity with awe, some with respect, some with fear, but none with scorn. Earth stood, scarred but unbroken. The colonies sang, the fleets returned, heroes honored, the legend born, and in every corner of the stars, one story spread. of betrayal, of survival, of vengeance, of one human command that turned a deadly war into a new dawn. Humanity was no longer the outcast, no longer the weak. They were the storm, and storms could never be betrayed again.